First, I'm going to show you guys in depth my rig here. The only pedal that's on is the DS1. The other pedals, I turned them off specifically for this video. Normally, I would also have it running with the Overdrive or the DS1 into the Rat for some type of sludge type of shit. But it occurred to me that some people really don't think that you could get a good tone with just a fucking DS1 and a clean amplifier. So this is a Fender Acoustasonic 30-watt amplifier. It is one of the most weirdest amplifiers I've ever played. It has no gain control, which is like the craziest thing of all time. And it has this string dynamics thing, which I think is basically just compression, to be honest with you. So I just leave that off. It has a terrible, shitty chorus that, I never have it on, but I'm going to turn it to 1 anyway. It's not even on. But, yeah. And it's just a simple 3-band EQ and volume. And that's all you fucking need, to be honest. So I'm going to show you guys. The regular tone that I would normally use for a clean tone is like 3 on the bass. The bass response on this amp is actually kind of insane. And then like about 6 mids and maybe a little less than 5 on the treble. A little bit goes a long way here. But you see, if I have these settings, then pretty much this is what the clean bypass tone sounds like. I would call that a pretty damn good clean tone. Now, if you want a slightly overdriven sound, just dime the knobs, guys. It's not that hard. So now this is what the tone would be with about 10, all the way to 10 on the mids, about 8 on the treble, and about 6 on the bass. And I mean, you could kind of add a little more treble and a little less mids if you want kind of a more crunchy. What it is you're just giving the amp breakup. That's all that is. But obviously the edge of breakup clean sound is not the overdriven guitar tone that many players aspire to. They want something with a little more like cream to it, right? So I'm just going to show you guys. We're all back to my regular settings. 3 on the bass, 6 on the mids, 5 on the treble. And I'm going to turn on the DS1, but I'm going to flick some settings around and show you guys what I end up with. Now, I don't know about you, but this tone sounds a little bit... Let me turn the volume up on the amp. That tone sounds a little more crunchy. That sounds, I would dare say, like a blues driver, which is hailed as like one of the greatest fucking pedals of all time for some reason. And now I kept the EQ exactly the same that I was using for that crowbar sludge tone. Only thing is I just turned the distortion and the volume down. And then, I turned the volume up on the amp to compensate. And, oh yeah, and I did one more sneaky little thing, guys. You see this? This is a volume knob. Every guitar has one. And you should learn to use it because, you see, if I just went full-on volume, then yeah, the DS1 has too much gain. But we can control how much signal is going into the DS1 and how much signal breaks up. Let's even get a little less than that. And you can turn it up. And you get more gain. It's that simple. Now, but what if you wanted something a little more, creamier? I mentioned creamy. I forgot to get to creamy. Ignore all that. But what if you wanted something a little creamier? Something, with a little less treble, a little less crunch. What if you wanted something smooth? Almost like having a lead tone with an overdrive. What if I ended up with something like this? Damn, my fucking string got caught in the fret. now my top E string's out of tune, but whatever. This sounds creamy, doesn't it? And see, all I'm doing is I'm using the neck pickup, and I've got the tone knob all the way down. And there you go. You get a little bit of cream. Now, you might be saying that that's a little bit too much treble still. You know? Like, yeah, there's some cream, but there's also some of that, like, trebly DS1 nonsense that you want to get rid of. Well, I have a trick for you. You see, we've been using the EQ on the amp this entire time, but what if we just turned the treble a tad down? Pretty creamy. But what's that? You don't want the fuzz that comes from having the tone knob all the way down? I got you too. The same exact settings with the tone all the way up. I would even say that sounds tube screamery, if I do say so myself. So, I mean, we've got some nice, driven tones. We've got some creamy stuff with some crunchy stuff. We got a whole bunch of stuff going on. What do we do to get that metal tone? With the same dry amp settings as before. 5 treble, 6 mid, 3 bass. This was what I end up with when I just turn the distortion all the way up. Not even the volume, just the distortion. I would play that tone. It's not my favorite metal tone, but it'll work. You are probably watching this video thinking, yeah, so why would I ever use a DS1? It's not going to be my favorite metal tone. Check this fucking shit out. These are the settings I used to get crowbar. I turned the bass up a little bit less than 4. I put the mids between 5 and 4. I scooped the mids just a tiny bit, and I put the treble up to 6. And you might be wondering, why would I put the treble up? It already sounded pretty much like the damn bees. But let me show you something. This is just the tone by itself. This is the tone when I turn the tone down just a tiny bit. You don't have to use the whole tone knob, just a tiny bit to attenuate that bass a little more. That is the secret, man. You don't have to turn down the tone knob all the way, all the time. But what you could do is you could turn down maybe even halfway or a little less, and you could get rid of the aggressive pick attack that makes the B string sound flubby, and basically get the benefits of compression without needing a compressor pedal. And if you're wondering that if you need to be in B standard to get this to sound heavy, you're wrong. The exact same settings in E standard basically just sound like the stereotypical metal zone sound. But not everybody likes the metal zone sound. This is the difference that just playing around for a little bit with your tone knob can do. I didn't adjust any settings on the amp or on the DS1, but just by turning the tone knob down a tiny bit, this is how much closer you get to that Master of Puppets chug. But that Metallica scooped mid sound lacks body, and some people, they want something a little more chuggy, a little more modern, something a little more mid pushed. Well, push the mids on the amp. I brought the mids back up to 6, the treble back down to 5, and the bass back down to 3, and I end up with something that I would say is even a little bit modern sounding. I'm gonna turn the bass up back to 4. Turn the tone knob down. I mean, the sound speaks for itself. If you still don't like that, then I don't know what the hell you like, because this sounds great to me. Even with the tone knob turned down, even with the treble turned a little bit down, some might say that this pedal still sounds like the Can of Bees. I have an eye-opening discovery for you. The entire time, I never turned the tone knob down from where I had it. You see, I have these little markers of where I like the tone knob. But imagine if I just tweaked it slightly. Let's see how that sounds. I would use that tone for punk, but let's tweak it a little so I like it even better. I actually turned the distortion all the way up, and I put the tone knob past 12 o'clock on that L, which I put to signify lead. I'm actually going to make it even more. And I'm just going to show you guys how this sounds. I'm going to speak for itself. Yes, I put the infamous tone knob past 12 o'clock. You'll see. I'm actually going to turn the tone knob all the way up now. That's a little too much. Tiny, tiny, tiny. And you might be wondering, what the fuck just happened? How does it not sound like bees? I'm going to tell you why it doesn't sound like bees. I'm going to educate y'all on something. I learned from a Science of Loud video that the DS1 tone control is multifaceted. It has two different kind of layers to it, like a big muff tone control. So you see, before around here, you go past this way, it'll cut treble, but it'll also boost bass. Once you get past that kind of like 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock area, it is going to cut bass and boost treble. So it's a two-way active EQ. Most tone knobs are just going to take a select amount of signal and either cut it or boost it. This will cut and boost two different kind of humps of signal. And what that basically means is whatever you end up cutting with this, you can compensate with the amp. And now you see, in the process of me fucking with all those controls and cutting a whole bunch of shit, turning the tone knob way past 12, and then compensating with the amp, I actually found a scoop mid sound that I like even better. And yeah, it sounds a little bit like the bees, but like I showed off, you can compensate with your tone knob on your guitar. You could roll the treble on the amp back a little bit if that's what you want. I boosted the bass to compensate for the bass that was cut by turning the tone knob up. And now it's all the way at fucking what's it called, 3 o'clock, and it's, you know, it's still got body to it. I mean, it's not shrill. It's got the high-end attack of the that Metallica type of really super duper metal zony high-end, but it also has body, it has some mids, it has a lot of bass. So you can get a good tone out of this whenever you fucking want. And just as a bonus, I'm going to show you guys one of my favorite uses for this thing, which is C. And around here, it should be the same on pretty much every DS1, but every pot tolerance is a little bit different, I guess. But here, around this area, is where I found you get that chainsaw HM2 sound. So let me show that off. You could use stuff like this for that black metal kind of shit. Just turn the tone a tiny bit back so you don't get some of that pick attack from the super duper high end. I'm just having fun, but I think you guys get the idea. Listen, if you got a piece of gear, you can get a good tone with it. Know how it works, know how your EQ works, know what you're looking for. I got all these great... I don't even have an EQ pedal in the mix here, right? Now that EQ pedal, I love an EQ pedal. I think everyone should have an EQ pedal, but even without one, dude, I'm getting a good tone with the buzzy-ass DS1, right? And this Fender amp, which has no gain control on it. I mean, it speaks for itself, man.